After I talked about the Bradford Guardian 3, Erin at TSA Knives reached out to me again. She had gotten like a box of knives from a collector to sell, and she sent a picture of a couple of them together and asked if I'd be interested in doing another video. And in one of the series of pictures of a bunch of different knives was this dude. And it's probably a holy grail to some people out there. I promise to be gentle. And that is why today I am still Grim, and I want to talk about the Microtech MUDT. As I've tried to make as clear as possible, I could barely spell knife, but even as a total idiot, I have an idea, when something like this is special and actually worth getting my hands on, even if just for a few minutes. I'm not keeping this knife or getting paid, and it's going back to TSA Knives to sell or something, I assume. So maybe you can go there if it's available, I guess, and that's tsa-knives.com. Again, this isn't even really a review, just because I haven't used it. I don't want to use it too much. It's just something I think is cool that I got my hands on and I want to talk about. The information I can find out on this thing, it's a little bit all over the place, but I think this is actually the medium UDT, or medium underwater demolition team knife, and this one does have the down carry clip that the minis do not have. But half of what makes it really confusing to figure out or find information on this, other than some Microtech fan forums, is that this thing it's old enough to drink. It has a manufacturing date of February of 1999 that you can see on the blade there. A little bit of rem oil, maybe. Microtech themselves, they came out in 1994, so this is really, really close to being original, or as original as you can get. I don't think it's actually the first version of the MUDT. I think those kind of phased out in like 1998 or so, but that's also based on Google Fu, though, I'm definitely not an expert, so maybe, I think it's actually a version 2, but either way, it is in beautiful shape, and the only wear I could find really is on the back of the blade here, but it was, definitely only barely used, if it was at all. There's no real belt rash or even the little flat piece that gets hammered when you're flipping the blade out isn't chipped or beat or mushroomed up at all. I'm guessing whoever bought it, they probably just, maybe they were a collector, or they threw it in a box and they never really used it. I think the Microtech guys are mostly known for their auto knives and their out the front knives, and more so for their cool factor and really quality materials, durable locks, and all that stuff. But in some of the places I went looking at research on this online, these knives have transcended into something else entirely, and they're really admired and loved by their owners. I personally have always just preferred fixed blades like the Guardian myself, and that's what I carry. But I could tell just from the quality of this thing while handling it, why something like this knife would appeal to people. I'm really just kind of scared of one of these autos going off in my pocket. Like, is that irrational? There's no safety. Does that actually happen to people? Have them going off in their pocket? I don't know. Or maybe on a belt? Either way, I guess so. To me, being just a noob, a stupid noob, and I just got lucky to run across something like this. Does handling this feel transcendent to a higher plane of knife existence? Have I now been to the top of the pointy and sharp mountain? You know, it's not lost on me. It's not lost on me just how cool it is to hold this and still have it function just as good as it did 23 years ago. And it does look really spectacular. It fires fast, but it doesn't try to fly out of your hand or anything like that. I really had to actually rethink what I wanted to say when I first got this, because the firing was slow, it was sloppy, and it failed to lock a couple times. And I really thought maybe just, you know, sitting in a collector's box somewhere for all that time wore something down, and I was kind of ready to talk a little bit of crap about it. And then, you know, I went to Microtech's website and I watched some of their YouTube to see what they recommended. And so I ended up cleaning it with some hot soapy water, like their website recommended, and like, bam, this thing, it can go. It was just dirty. Yeah, that is how stupid I am. And it does feel pretty good in the hand. I still think it'd be kind of funny to me to like maybe send this off to Microtech under their warranty and you know, see if maybe they could give you a certificate of authenticity or something. And I'd really just kind of like to be a fly on the wall when they see it. But maybe they do get more old ones than, you know, I'm expecting, just because, again, people love these and keep them forever. And there's just no play in this blade at all. No side to side, no up and down, forward, back. There's just nothing. And maybe with, like, had it have been used or real use, it would loosen up a bit, but I don't know. It's not mine to go and abuse and do cut tests and everything, and I can't go back in time and use it for 20 years to see how bad the wear would be in here. And being that, again, I think it's the medium, I can get a pretty good 4-finger grip on here, even the light and a really hard one. And I do like that you get the little nubs here, both on the back of the handle and on the back of the blade, so it locks your thumb in no matter how you end up getting a hold of it. And the 2 points from the grip up to the blade are level and even, which feels really nice. I looked at some of the LUDTs, and I don't know that they do this anymore. I kind of wish they kept it, because it looks, well, it looks really slick, and it fits well in my hands like that. And there's also some of that, those nubs here on the back for a reverse grip. And the handle is aluminum, I think. There's some kind of rubber, like, texturing insert up in here that I also don't think they really do any longer. The little bit I found was that it's some kind of fancy polymer from, I think it's Croton or something like that. Again, that's Google foo. You know, honestly, maybe it's a bit out there to think this, but I was kind of wondering when I first saw it if it was counterfeit. I don't know why someone would target this ancient knife to counterfeit, but, you know, being that it's so old, but it's just such a rare thing to run across. And, you know, I admit the thought had crossed my mind. And looking over it as close as I can, I notice all the hardware is flat, like completely flat. All of these little bits are tumbled and not shiny, and that flatness goes for the handle itself. I hope it comes through on this video. There's no dimpling or anything, even on the cuts. And the laser engraving along the blade is perfectly flat. And look at those freaking serrations, man. they are a work of art pretty much. Even though I wouldn't necessarily prefer to have them on if I was keeping this. And it was like such a little worm in my brain, that counterfeit thing, that I watched all of Microtech's videos they have here on YouTube about spotting counterfeit knives, and their video focus was definitely on their more modern knives, so there wasn't much to compare to, but everything they mentioned about their manufacturing techniques, like again the flatness here and the lack of like rough edges on the cuts, the knife, it passes. On a whim, I kind of went so far that I took some of like the best pictures I could, and I sent it off to Microtech. I was hoping they could, like, I don't know, share some tips with me. Like, the only thing I could think of was like, what should this weigh, or something like totally definitive that maybe someone hasn't shared online. But they haven't got back to me, and it was a Hail Mary to ask them. They are busy running a really successful company. Maybe I'll update this or something if they say anything back, but it'll probably be like after I send it back to TSA. And in a ironic way, it was that process of going over every little tiny detail of the knife, you know, comparing it to those counterfeit videos, that was what let me like see the quality in this and appreciate it a bit more. Man, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I do like it. It feels functional, and again, it's got such a cool like factor to it. And it's hard to both like talk about what it is and not the fact that it's vintage and that it's not mine. I mean, I would definitely keep it if I could, and I'm aware like maybe this will sound like an ad or something if I'm not careful, but I really think someone else out there more knowledgeable would, you know, like the opportunity to own this. And if anything, my opinion of this being that it's still functional and good looking as a knife, that's more to Microtech's credit, more than anyone else's. And like, I keep thinking about it, but like most things, not everything, but most things that are sort of designed and styled with an eye for their era or time, you know, by the time they get as old as this looks, they're out of style or they look off. But this is still really appealing, and if it didn't have the date stamp, I'd pretty much think it was some kind of little new, you know, foldy boy you could buy right there on Microtech's website. If anything, this knife intrigues me to try buying my own new Microtech, because there isn't anything much to complain about with it. It has a great aesthetic appeal. The ergonomics are just fine with a, you know, solid little grip, and I have to assume it can cut, you know, just fine. I don't want to test it. The overall size is probably my favorite part. I think it's perfect. Like, why don't they make these anymore? I wonder. Like, do they make the mediums? I am not a knife channel. I swear. Please God, like, be merciful. I am not a knife channel. I just like cool stuff and rambling about it, but you know, maybe I will pick up my own Microtech and do one more, two more, a bunch more videos. And that is the Grim Talk on this vintage Microtech MUDT. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.